Hello and welcome into Citrus TV's Waverly Avenue studios. This is Beat the Bookie, and I'm your host, Tyler Aitken. Now, for context, I want to explain my relationship with sports betting. My first ever bet was illegally placed through my sister, who went to the casino and placed a parlay for me. I hit all 4 legs. It was the 2021 NFL divisional round, and I was absolutely surgical with my picks. I turned $10 into $42 and have never been close to that successful ever again. That's how they get you. Anyways, that's enough about me. Let's recap how Skylar Wilkes did last week. And remember, he opened his show by saying, quote, "I'm not particularly knowledgeable about sports betting." Well, Skylar, I think you lied to our viewers. Look at that, over $95 in the green. That's the most since last November and the second most since January of 2023. Now, to be fair, almost all of that profit is from Skylar absolutely smacking his 3-leg lay, but a win is a win is a win. He was confident in his big games of the week bets, and those didn't quite work out. Was it a lucky week for Wilkes? Absolutely. If he was on the show every week, would he eventually burn through all of that profit? You bet. But did Skylar Wilkes make almost $100? Also yes. And so for that, congratulations, Skylar. And even more congratulations for beating Jake Morrell. But hey, if you couldn't win more than a political reporter, that would have just been sad. But get ready, because you won't be in your top spot for long. It's my turn now, and we'll start with our big games of the week.
Jerry, you better yell! Show me the money! Show me the money!
It's time for our big games of the week, and of course, those get going at the big house. USC at Michigan in a Big Ten game feels bizarre, but that's just college football in 2024. Listen, this game isn't a hard one to pick. Yes, the Wolverines are at home, but they're also trotting out Alex Orji, a quarterback who has 7 career passes. 7. He'll probably have 7 incompletions in the first half alone. So let's take a step back, though, and look at this matchup from a more macro lens. Michigan is 2-1, yet has an average margin of just plus 3.7. USC is 2-0, with its wins coming by over 25 points on average. Get ready for Ann Arbor to fall to SoCal, a team that isn't just going to use a Trojan horse strategy. This won't be sneaky. It'll be a beatdown from the start. Give me USC minus 5.5, and I'm comfortable to throw 10% of my budget on it. All right, this one I'm not so confident with. Utah and Oklahoma State are both 3-0 Big 12 teams, separated by just 2 slots in the AP poll. Both have veteran, and I mean veteran, quarterbacks. The Utes' Cam Rising is 25, and the Cowboys' Alan Bowman is 24. I mean, geez, guys, get ready to be taken off your parents' health insurance soon. But back to what I was saying, these teams are very similar. Both average over 35 points per game and haven't given up more than 21 points in a single week. With these teams being neck and neck, I'll ride the best player on the field to victory. OSU running back Ollie Gordon has 4 touchdowns already. He's due for 1 or 2 more today, I think. I'll sprinkle $5 on the Cowboys minus 2.5, but I don't feel too good about it. All right, let's go from Stillwater across the state to Norman, where Oklahoma hosts Tennessee. College game day is there. This is clearly a big one. And look, I know what you're thinking. There's no way this clown is going to take the favorite in all 3 big games. But yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. If you thought Oklahoma State's Ollie Gordon was good, how about Tennessee's Dylan Sampson? 350 yards and 9 touchdowns in 3 games is just silly, regardless of who they came against. Now, he does have a challenge. The Sooners haven't allowed a score on the ground all year. But when given the choice between an unstoppable force and an immovable object, I'm taking the Friar all day long. I love the Volunteers minus 6.5 here. And so that's what I've got, but let's look at what producer Jordan Leonard and his assistant Arnav Pokral have cooked up. Oh boy, I'm in my girly girl era, and that means winning bets. You have the 3 winning bets on the left side, and you see 2 of those winning bets on the right side. USC, Tennessee, myself in the C-suite in lockstep. Utah, not so much, and I did admit I wasn't too sure in that game, but it does look like by the end of this week, it will be clear. Are the hosts or are the C-suite winning? And I've got the hosts all day long. All right, let's get into the games that I choose, and we'll start with one that I've already talked about. It's USC and Michigan, and I'm talking the over-under this time. This line has actually moved down from 46.5 to 44.5. and I really don't care. Remember, the Wolverines are going to play Alex Orji, who has just a few more career passes than me. If he doesn't work out, maybe Coach Sharon Moore will put Davis Warren back in, but remember, he started the first few games and racked up 6 interceptions. My point here is that Michigan won't score much, if at all. USC will go into cruise control once it passes 30 points, so I'll take the under. No doubt, I've got $10 on that one. I don't care if taking an under is gutsy. Now, let's head up to Chestnut Hill. Northeast tough, that's been the saying in Syracuse as of late, and that clearly extends into Massachusetts. Boston College has been doing pretty dang good to start the year. BC took down Florida State, which admittedly is not that impressive given that the Seminoles are 0-3, but then the Eagles took care of business against an FCS school. However, Boston College was most impressive in a loss, a 27-21 defeat on the road to a top 10 Missouri squad. By the way, the fact that the Eagles were ranked headed into that matchup and then fell out of the top 25 despite a one-possession game shows how unimportant the AP poll is. Anyways, now that BC is back at home and gets to host a Michigan State squad that is simply uninspiring. The Spartans only have one skill position player with more than one touchdown. There's just no star power. BC will win by a score, and I've got $10 on that. Speaking of surprisingly good teams, how about Arizona State? Coming off 2 3-9 seasons, the Sun Devils have already matched that win total 3-0 with wins over SEC's Mississippi State and a great group of 5 team in Texas State. It's been on the back of Cam Skattebo, pardon me. I don't care what you call him though, he's another great running back, and that's been the theme of the show. But for a reason. Skattebo has over 370 rushing yards this season, good for second in the Big 12. Texas Tech, on the other hand, gives up 180 yards on the ground per game, the second worst mark in the conference. ASU will run all over TTU today, even without Raleek Brown. Now, are you confused? That's fine, I'll explain. I've been confident in the Devils all week long, and Jordan, our producer, texted me last night. He was all worried. Arizona State running back Raleek Brown would miss this game with a hamstring injury, and he asked if I wanted to change my pick. Here's the problem. Brown has 2 carries for a total of 1 yard this season. Yikes. That shows you how much ball the C-suite knows and whose picks you should tail this week. Regardless, Arizona State as underdogs is an easy money line pick. I'm tempted to put down more than $10, but I'll have to have some self-control and save some money for other bets. And speaking of other bets, Jordan, I do apologize for exposing you there, so I'll make it up to you by betting on your hometown team, Rutgers. The Scarlet Knights have beaten up on 2 bad teams so far, so they are unproven. However, Virginia Tech is proven to be unreliable. Close wins over Old Dominion and Marshall, plus a loss to Vanderbilt, the laughingstock of the SEC, that just won't cut it. Plus, Rutgers is usually a great team to bet on. It was 7-5-1 against the spread in a gauntlet of a Big Ten last year. And so, Jordan, grab your Taylor ham, kick your feet up on the sparkling sand of Atlantic City, and rest easy, knowing I'm putting $10 on Rutgers money line. All right, that's enough with the money line bets. Let's get back to the spreads, and it's a big one too. A spread of over 20 points in a game between 2 Power 4 programs seems crazy, but UCLA just lost by almost 30 to Indiana at home. Now the Bruins have to march into Death Valley to take on the number 16 LSU Tigers, and they're supposed to keep within 23 points. No shot. $10 on LSU, and I'd take that spread if it was 10 points higher. And speaking of if a spread was 10 points higher, how about a spread of 48.5? That is quite large, to say the least, but it's not big enough. Kent State is 0-3 with a 71-point loss to Tennessee, a defeat to FCS St. Francis, and a 31-point loss to a mediocre ACC team in Pitt. Against a top 10 team in the country like Penn State, it's bound to get ugly. Plus, the Nittany Lions are always in to run up the score. They had wins of 56 points and 63 points last year. 48.5 is nothing. I'll take Penn State against the spread again for $10. And now, it's time for my future. And to be honest, I was really tempted to find a Syracuse bet. I mean, can you tell? I'm clearly an Orange fan, and for what it's worth, they're going to cover -8.5 against Stanford this week, but this episode won't be released until after the game. But there's not an Orange future that I love. SU to win the ACC? No. Kyle McCord to win the Heisman? I hope so, but no. Instead, I'll go with my other favorite team, the Bills. Now, I really don't think this is Buffalo's year, to be quite honest. Its roster has less talent than it has since the first year of Josh Allen's reign at quarterback. Since then, they've been great. This year, I don't know. But I was talking to known NFL betting expert, my girlfriend Bryn, and she said this is the year. So why not? I'll put $5 on the Bills to win the Super Bowl, and I do look forward to the Chiefs breaking my heart again in the AFC Championship game this January. But that's enough with my future. Let's look at the rest of them. And listen, there's a lot still going on. It seems like the baseball bets are in a great spot. Aaron Judge has a 2-home run lead on Shohei Ohtani, and the Yanks have a playoff spot locked up. But my favorite bet on the board might be Boise State to make the college football playoff. It would be great to see the Broncos there after getting left out of the best games during their heyday in the 2000s. That wraps up the futures, but now it's time for the parlay. It's time to end where we began. That's right, a parlay. It's what got me hooked on sports betting, and now it's what will bring me to the promised land, the top of the Beat the Bookie leaderboard. Now, I am taking what some feel like is an overly safe route. Others see it as risky, relying on too many teams. But at the end of the day, it's simple. 4 moneyline bets, all favorites. And first up is Memphis, a 3-0 team with a win at Florida State. And Navy, this week's foe is not a concern. Army looks to be the only formidable service academy this year, so I'm taking the Tigers. Next up, USC. Listen, I've explained it before. This is an easy win with pretty decent value in a parlay against a ranked Michigan squad. After that, it's Boston College. Again, I already told you why this bet is set to smack. I do love me some Eagles this week. And lastly, Kansas State, the number 13 team in the land on the road against BYU, one of the least inspiring Big 12, if not Power 4 teams. And add these 4 guaranteed games up, you get a plus 302 odd bet. That's not too shabby. I'm not trying to win $100 here. I'm just laying the foundation for a clean week. And with that said, let's look at all my bets of the week. Starting with game 1, I've given you reason after reason. The Trojans shouldn't have a problem even on the road against the Wolverines. Now, a big game of the week that I wasn't too sure about was Oklahoma State against Utah, but I'm going to roll with the Cowboys at home. A running game surely will bring them to a win. One I'm a lot more confident in, Tennessee over Oklahoma. The Volunteers just manhandled the NC State Wolfpack a few weeks ago. Oklahoma will be a bit more of a challenge, but still should be at least a 1 or 2 score win. Moving into the games I got to pick, I know Jordan Leonard, our producer, calls it diabolical to bet on an under, but I'm a diabolical guy. I'm taking the under all day long in a game that will be filled with turnovers. Boston College has had a great year. That should keep rolling against a mediocre Michigan State squad. And Arizona State, also 3-0, should have a great 4-0 start to the year as a dog this time. Speaking of dogs, Rutgers should get it done against a Virginia Tech Hokie team that might play hooky in that game. I don't even know if VT is going to show up at all. And UCLA is definitely not going to show up to Death Valley. LSU might win that one by 40+. And speaking of 40+, how about Penn State over Kent State? Kent State might be the worst FBS team in the country. That should be no problem for the Nittany Lions. I do have a fun future, the Bills to win the Super Bowl plus 950. I know my heart is going to get broken, but I'm obligated to put that down, both for myself and Bryn. Shout out Bryn. And then it's the moneymaker, the parlay. Memphis, USC, Boston College, and Kansas State, all money line. I know it's kind of safe, kind of risky, but it's gonna make at least $30 for me, so I'll take it. All right, that's all I've got. I'll see you on Twitter after Jordan posts my victory graphic. And Ian Nicholas, our host next week, I accept your congratulations in advance. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great weekend of gambling, everyone.